Are you looking to buy a home in this red hot Canadian real estate market? The market is absolutely on fire coast to coast. And in this video, I'm going to give you 7 tips on how to buy a home in a red hot market. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mike Banks and I'm a licensed real estate professional in Edmonton, Alberta. And on this channel, we're talking about all things real estate: buying, selling, investing, improving, and maintaining your home. So if you're into that kind of content, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification so you get notified when new videos are uploaded. So let's get into it right now. Tip number 1. You have to get pre-approved. You want to anyways. It's a prudent practice for buying a home to get pre-approved, even in the early stages, so you know where you stand with your credit and your down payment and things like that, and what you actually qualify for, so you're not out looking at homes that are out of your price budget. But in a red hot market, it is absolutely paramount. You must get a pre-approval. You're still likely going to be putting a financing condition on your home anyways, but you want to make sure that you can actually afford the home that you are bidding on, especially if it starts to creep up. If there's multiple offers and it's going up and up and up and up, you're going to want to know what you're pre-approved for, because if the listed price is, say, $400,000 or $500,000, which is a typical list price here in Edmonton, I know Toronto, Vancouver people are probably like, $400,000 or $500,000, what is that? Well, in this market, that is normal. I'm sorry to hear that for your guys' market. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're bidding on a home that's $400,000 or $500,000 and you're pre-approved up to $600,000, for example, well, if you get into a multiple offer situation, you know where you stand. You're not going to be going obviously above $600,000. So a pre-approval, talking to a mortgage professional, a mortgage broker, or a lender is absolutely paramount in a red hot market. Okay, tip number 2. You're going to want to figure out what your wish list is. More importantly, what your must-have list is. In a balanced or a buyer's market, it's great to have a wish list, to have and want all of these things. But in a red hot market, you really got to drill it down to your must-haves and stick to this plan, because this will avoid you from looking at homes that you really don't need and then getting caught up in multiple offer situations on a home you don't actually need. So for an example, let's say your must-haves is a 3-bedroom, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. Pretty typical. Well, if that's your must-have, and 4 or 5 bedrooms would be nice, but you don't need them, stick to the plan, because if you start looking at 4 and 5 bedroom homes and you really only need 3, not only are you going to be looking at a higher price point, but then you're getting into a potentially a multiple offer situation on a home that you don't actually really need. And then you end up overpaying for a home that you don't really actually need. So figure out what your must-haves are, not your wish list. I mean, you can still make a wish list. It's fun to do that, right? Say it's a pool or air conditioning, all the nice to haves, but really drill down to what that must-have list is so that you stick to the plan. Now, tip number 3, this is basically kind of back to the pre-approval. Figure out what your budget is. So let's say, I'm talking your whole budget here. So your pre-approval is your mortgage amount. Let's say you're pre-approved up to $500,000 or $600,000. Well, you're going to want to factor in your whole budget. So not only the mortgage payments, but the utilities, the property taxes, insurance, maintenance. You want to factor everything in and stick to that budget. And then the most important thing of sticking to that budget is being willing to walk away. Being willing to walk away is very empowering in a hot real estate market, because you're not emotionally getting caught up in a bidding war and multiple offers. Like, I talk to colleagues, not in my market, I'm not hearing this, we are having multiple offers, but I'm talking to colleagues in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. Like, there is 35 offers first day on market on a home. So if you aren't willing to walk away, you're going to get caught up in this huge emotional bidding war, and you're going to end up way overpaying for the home. So figure out what your total budget is, stick to that, and then be willing to walk away. It's just a home at the end of the day. And you don't want to be stuck with something that you regret later. And then also be careful too, with a low interest rate environment, make sure you're really sticking to your budget, because right now interest rates are very, very low. But they aren't going to stay like this forever. I don't have a crystal ball. Nobody knows when they're going to rise. But there's a lot of economists that are kind of saying, hey, you know what? Eventually inflation is going to show up with all of the government debt that was spent during the pandemic, some other economic things going on. Eventually inflation is going to show up. It should show up theoretically. And when that happens, interest rates are going to start creeping back up again. So make sure you're not buying too much house in this low interest rate environment in the event that there is an interest rate increase. Tip number 4. Talk to a real estate professional. Whether you decide to use a realtor or not to buy your home, that is up to you. You have freedom of choice. However, at the very least, talk to one. Talk to one about what is going on in the market, what the market conditions are like, what you can expect in your local market. Is it a red hot seller's market where, for example, in my market, we're very close to a seller's market, but we're still technically a balanced market. So talking to a real estate professional in my market will just kind of bring you back to reality a bit. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the media and the news, red hot market all over the place, but in my market, technically it's not quite a seller's market yet. Your market might be different. So talk to a professional and get their advice on what the market conditions are like so that you know what to expect when you begin to enter the market. Now, again, it's your choice whether you use a realtor or not to help you buy a home, but in a red hot market, I would highly advise that you use one. In 99.9% of the time, you don't actually, as a buyer, you don't pay the realtor. The seller pays a cooperating commission to the real estate agent. So you as the buyer don't actually pay, in most cases anyways, don't actually pay the real estate agent to help you buy a home. So why not use one? You're getting all of their knowledge, their expertise, their market knowledge, and then also they will help you navigate, if you get into a multiple offer situation, they're gonna help you navigate this crazy hot market. So just use one. There's no harm and there's no reason not to use one. They are here to help you and they are on your side. Now, tip number 5. Decide how you feel about multiple offers and what your strategy is going to be when you enter a multiple offer situation. So again, if you're working with a professional, they will help guide you and navigate you through this, and they have a lot of experience, or they should anyways, have a lot of experience of navigating multiple offer situations. So they will be able to use their experience and their insight to advise you on how to do it. But you need to decide yourself as a person and as a buyer how you feel about it, because it is likely to happen to you depending on the market you're in. In my market, it's, there's a chance of it happening, but not necessarily guaranteed. But if you're in Toronto or Vancouver, it's probably almost a guarantee that you're going to end up in a multiple offer situation. So decide ahead of time how you feel about it, how you're going to react to it, how you're going to navigate it, and what your strategy is going into one. Because you're going to want to have, especially in a multiple offer situations, you're going to want to have as little conditions as possible when you do eventually make an offer. Because put it this way, if there's 30 offers on the table and this offer has very little conditions and it's over list price, and your offer is a little bit over list price and it has a lot of conditions, as the seller, what would you do? You would obviously take the higher number with the less conditions. So where it gets interesting is if you have two offers that are, both very high over list price, one has a little bit of conditions and one has a lot of conditions, it's kind of the same thing. Which would you take in that position if you were the seller? You would probably take the high offer with the less conditions. Now, I'm not at all saying don't go into any offer without any conditions. Like myself, I would never advise any of my clients to not include an inspection and to not include financing, just in case. Even if you have a pre-approval from a lender, you always want to include, at least that's my advice anyways, you always want to include a condition on financing, because the financing that you receive from your lender or from the bank or from the mortgage broker, it's just a pre-approval. They still have to approve the actual home, the sale price of the home, and all the conditions that go into the purchase offer. So if you put an offer on a home with no condition of financing, even though you have a pre-approval, the bank might look at it and say, you know what, actually no, we're not going to give you a mortgage on this house. And then you're stuck closing. If you've removed that condition, if you've removed all your, if you have any conditions on the offer and you've removed them and you don't have the financing one in place, you're stuck buying that home. Contractually anyways, you are stuck buying that home, and you could be on the hook, getting sued even. It's another reason to use a professional, right? You might not have to you won't actually have to buy the home, but you could get sued for the losses that the seller is going to incur potentially from taking your offer and you not being able to close on it. Tip number 6, keep it cool. Keep a cool, calm, level head, because our emotions can get the best of us. Now, don't get me wrong, buying a home can be a very exciting time, it can be a very stressful time, it can be very overwhelming, it can be a bundle of everything all at once. But you want to keep a cool head in a hot market. Don't get emotionally tied to any home. And again, I get it. You look at a home, you fall in love with it, you really want it. But at the end of the day, it is just a house, and there will always be another house that will hit the market. I've actually, personal story, my wife and I, when we bought one of our homes quite a few years ago, I'm going to take my own advice here. I was pretty upset that we lost this home. It was what I thought we needed. We were looking to put in a basement suite. This home, we looked at so many homes and none of them were working. We finally found one that could work, had the side entrance, everything that we were looking for to put in a basement suite. and we ended up losing it. The sellers just would not budge. So I was pretty upset about that. I just, thought, oh man, like this sucks. We're not gonna find something. And then 2 weeks later, boom, we found the perfect house for less money than the one that it was a better house, it was bigger, better location, everything. It was less money than what they were asking for and what we were getting. So at the end of the day, it's just a house. Don't get emotionally attached to anything. There will always be another one that will hit the market. And then tip number 7, just remember that the real estate market is a cycle. It's constantly moving in a cycle, just like other economic cycles, debt cycles, business cycles. The real estate market is no different. So although it is a red hot market right now, it is not going to stay like this forever. Eventually, the market will turn and it'll start to decline a little bit and it'll bottom out and then it'll start to recover a little bit and there will be another little boom and it'll hit another peak and then it's just a continual cycle. It's just going up and down, up and down. So just remember, just because things are crazy right now, that doesn't mean that they are always going to be like this. Now, if you want any help or any advice whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me anywhere in Canada. Call me, email me, text me. I can help you out. My contact information will be in the description below, or leave a comment below. I answer and reply to all questions. If you find this kind of content helpful, subscribe to this channel, hit that bell notification so you get notified when a new video is uploaded, and consider watching one of these videos I'll put on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next video.